Welcome back, guys. My name is Adam. I have Rusmin.
Hello.
And Victor.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to do another portfolio review. And, we've been sharing some very big portfolios so far.
Yep.
Sometimes up to 1 million.
Yep.
Thereabouts. But today, we wanted to share something a bit different because this is from a student. And it's a 5-figure portfolio, but I thought it'd be a good portfolio to share because this guy, I'm going to share a bit about background about him, but he started investing when he was 18. Okay, he's 24 right now. He's in NUS. He's an undergrad. He's going to graduate soon. And he wanted to share his portfolio with us and for us to review. So I'm just going to share a bit more about him. He started investing in the US later on. So he started investing in Singapore first, Singapore stocks, and then the US. He's going to graduate soon. He likes to travel. So he does spend a bit of money on himself. He's also going to share his goals as well. So right now he's looking for more growth because he's young. So I think he's clear about that. But he doesn't mind a little bit of income. And he only invests in very established companies. That's what he likes. But he's also looking at a bit for REITs as well, because there's some interest in Singapore REITs. So this is this person. We're not going to say his name. We're going to keep you anonymous as always. But let's flash his portfolio and let me know what you guys think. First impressions.
Yeah. So I think his portfolio is pretty good. I mean, most of the company he picked quite quality company, I would say. I mean, he only got 2 Singapore stocks, which is the bank. If I were to look in terms of the market valuation by the region, right, his Singapore stocks is about 8.6%, United States are 79%. So basically he's like quite a lot into the US market. He has about 12.4% in crypto. I think he mentioned in the email that no meme coins, no meme stocks, only just very well established tech companies and crypto. So that's why he only buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay. Yeah. So I look at this just for fun. I just look at the Bitcoin pricing. He paid during the Bitcoin crash.
Oh,
he just bought it.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I mean, you never know, right?
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. So yeah.
So in terms of his allocation, it seems very balanced as well.
Yeah. So that's a very good thing. Okay. So a lot of times when we look at the portfolio, right, we based on the cost to look how a person allocates, right? So especially when you are very young, when it comes to investing, I can guarantee you a lot of people, right, they are not very clear of what they are doing. Because when you're young, you will definitely make mistake, right? Unless you are very clear, which is seldom happen because you need to accumulate the experience, right? So he actually balanced his portfolio almost equally, very close, about 6 to 8% for each stocks, right? Okay, but of course, like there's some like DBS and OCBC, both are bank, right? But that's about 8+%. Okay, right? In terms of cost. Then your Visa Masters, you add up is about 6+7. So it's between that range. So he balanced it very, very well. And there won't be one stock that will be very detrimental to his portfolio if something goes south,
Yeah, it's crucial because when you're young, sometimes you get all excited about investing, you're learning new things. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to invest a lot. And then you start doing research, you fall in love with the company. Yep. And then you start putting a lot of money in there.
All in. Yeah.
All in. Some people all in. Tesla, if you remember, a lot of people did that.
Those days.
And then it just goes wrong. Tesla is another example in that. And you get hit. But this guy is just like very clear, very solid companies. Looking at all the names here. Yep. Very solid companies, dominant in their fields. And he's just like buying very progressively, very steadily, in fact. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at his cost portfolio, it's actually 39,000. Right now, his market value, based on the latest one, is about 62,000. I mean, that's very good for 24 years old,
Yeah, actually, I'm very impressed when I saw this portfolio when you sent it to us. Whether should we review this portfolio? I said, what's there to review? he knows what he's doing, man. Yeah. And at his age, right, and he managed to save up like 39,000, and he's still a student, So I was like, oh wow, nowadays the students so rich. I don't know whether he's like one of the rare kinds or what, but at my age, I didn't have that, 39,000 when I was a student.
Yeah, so I'm very scared, when I see this portfolio, I'll tell Adam, I don't know whether I want to review or not. Later, the money came from all his parents. Then, people will just comment on it, right? So I asked Adam to actually go and ask him what's his source of income, right? His source of income was from allowance that he saved, and he also worked part-time during his poly days, right? And also
his NSF, right?
And he's also consistently working as an intern. So like right now he's working internship, right? So he saved, and his saving rate is 70%. Right? He actually break down and let us see
that's impressive because I wouldn't know my savings percentage at that age. He showed us the table. And he's like, he broke it down: savings and the stuff that goes into investing,
Yeah.
and the stuff that he spent. And he had the percentages for each of that. I don't even know my percentages. Like to this,
Yeah.
like how many decimal places is that? 5 decimal places here.
Yeah.
He's so precise.
Yeah.
So he's saving money. He's
Yeah.
working, saving money.
Yeah.
From all the way from poly, NS, uni, saving money.
Yep.
And then he invested.
And he's work part time and
He working part time, yeah. And he's doing well.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit, sometimes some of you have been asking, hey, when are you going to show a good portfolio?
Yeah.
And sometimes we share the not so good ones because there's stuff to learn.
Yeah.
But I think in this example, it's good to share as well, because a good portfolio is stuff that you can learn as well about what you could, what you're looking out for when you're starting investing. I mean, according to your goals and all that. This guy's portfolio makes sense for his goals.
Yeah, I think to us, right, let's say a S tier portfolio.
Yeah.
S tier. Okay, so our ranking is all the way A, then the best of the best is the S tier, right?
Yeah.
Is that you buy into quality company, you buy at the right valuation, and lastly, you buy according to your objective, right? I mean, some of the portfolio that we review, or some of the portfolio you see, the person can say that, oh, I want income, but then they go and buy all those speculative stocks.
Non-income stocks.
Yeah.
Right? It's not your portfolio. That's not your objective, right? You don't deviate from the objective that you set for your portfolio, right? I mean, before you guys comment on his, like, wow, maybe this guy come from a rich kid, the allowance very good, but I can tell you, the parents can give the allowance to the kid, but if the kid don't save, that allowance is also as good as nothing, right? I mean, I'm a very big example, right? When I was in my secondary school, right, in the 1999 to 2000, and I think my allowance is $500 a month.
Okay.
Well, that's quite a big amount, right?
That's too much, man.
That's a very big amount at that point of time. Okay, I finish everything. Okay, I used to be very spendthrift. Right. I don't save. I just spend my. I don't have any personal finance until I sort of like, woke up, from the thing, right? So allowance for parents, is also can consider income, because when you're a student, how can, I mean, especially in secondary school, you won't be working, right? Unless during the school holidays or this.
Okay. So anyway, there's a lot of good stuff about this young man. He's doing very well. Let's go into his portfolio and have a look at some of his stocks and some of the comments that we have, maybe some near-term risks that we can point out for him. So maybe the things that you need to look out for. I mean, these are good companies, but still always good to know these are things that you need to watch out for. So why don't we go down the list and share what you guys have in mind?
Okay, so I just talk about the SG one first, because basically it's the two bank. Okay, so in terms of valuation, when I look at it, I think the DBS valuation he bought was a very good valuation. OCBC was just decent valuation. Okay. I would say average, right? But the DBS is a good valuation that he bought, which after that his gain, excluding dividend, he's already up 79.8%. If you add in the dividend, you'll be much more in terms of returns. But I think the near-term risk for bank is actually because now they already say that there's a very high probability that the interest rate is going to cut in this coming September. When it comes to bank, right, they tend to move with interest rate. Okay, so I have looked at the chart comparing the bank, the Singapore banks with the interest rate. Right, most of the time when the interest rate cut, the Singapore banks will drop. Okay, but before that, right, the Singapore banks yield, right, was traded below the 10 years Singapore security bonds, right? Not the saving bonds, the Singapore security bonds, right? They are traded below the yield, so it makes more sense to sell the bank at that point of time. But right now, right, even though when the interest rate is going to drop, right, our current yield from the bank, right, is even higher than the Singapore security bank. So this is a very interesting situation that we're in that we never seen before. Right. So just do take note. But I think if you want to sell the bank, then where can you put? There's no other sources. Even your SSB is lower than your bank dividend. Right? So just take note about it.
So then next one, it's the one that I want to also comment is he had this 3 holdings, AMD, NVIDIA, and TSMC, and that currently accounts about close to 30%. If you based on the current market value, right, of his entire portfolio, right? And to me, we are actually at the upcycle of this entire semiconductor, right? So this sector alone is actually semi-cyclical in nature, and when we are in the upcycle, usually there are a lot of tons of good news. There's a lot of demand for NVIDIA chip, GPUs. So these 3 players currently is actually benefiting from the AI revolution, right? So and because of his exposure, right, overexposure in this, I would think now is actually the right time for him to pare it down, this overall percentage. Perhaps he has very big concentration on NVIDIA, which currently stands at about 70% of his holding, and this is actually a big carries for his entire portfolio, right? And he has I think 4x.
Okay, he got in at a really good price. So
really good
$29. So at the time when he bought, it was like $290 before the split.
So if I'm him, I will start to take profit.
So you rebalance it a bit.
I'll rebalance it down, especially. I think I will at least cash out my initial capital in NVIDIA, for example, right? And then I take the money. Like Victor mentioned that currently bank could be slightly on the not at a very good advantage because of the rate cut, right? I'm actually looking at REITs, since he like REITs, he mentioned. And now REITs valuations are quite decent or rather attractive before the recent run-up. Even now, I think the valuation are still very attractive. It's really a good time for him to really consider increasing the exposure over there. Because he bought some of these companies at the right time. I think he started in 2020, right? More focused on building his US portfolio. And NVIDIA, at the time when he bought also, right, it's, to be honest, it's actually on the high valuation, right, based on price to earning. But because this sector is again very lumpy, I don't know which stage he got in. Either it's early 2022 or 2023, before the run, right? But the valuation was a bit stretched, right? But even then, because of this AI phenomena, right, the whole earnings actually exploded for NVIDIA. So when the capex spending among the big tech start to pull back, you may see that the price correction can be quite intense for this sector. It can be down 50, 60, 70%. Right. So I don't know when that is going to happen. It's because it seems like the spending is likely going to continue because there's shortage of supply in this particular sector.
But once they build in all the infrastructure already, then you will still need the chip, but it will be not as much as the past.
It's difficult to build that kind of growth that they achieved over the last couple of
last 1 year.
The thing about all these growth stocks, I'm not saying that you cannot buy. You can buy, but it's a small percentage. But the thing about all these growth stocks is, right, like example, NVIDIA now is growing at 100%, right, because of the strong demand and all this, right. Even though it continue to grow, let's say it drops from 100%, but it still grow at 50%. The market will punish it.
Tremendous still.
The market will punish it. Because market expect 100%. Right. So that's the thing about growth stocks. So you need to take note about the growth stocks risk.
Okay.
Right?
So I mean, he could still, if he likes NVIDIA, he could still possibly continue to ride this run, but we don't know when it's going to end.
But I think that I understand he still can continue to ride it. That's why Rusmin wants him to gut his downside. So you sell off and get back your initial capital.
So you just put house money in
so now even all these stocks, right, they won't drop below your base capital that you already set there.
Okay. Right. So this is really up to him if he wants to do that. But this is one thing that you could point out.
Optimize
a bit in terms of these three stocks in that sector, right? The
it's a little bit too concentrated. Although it fits his risk appetite. I mean, still young, 24, right?
24.
So, pretty. I think it fits his risk appetite, but at the same time, this sector I think can be very, very volatile, right? So you want to take note on that,
Okay. All right. So let's move on from semiconductors into the next bunch of stocks that you have.
Okay. So we have CrowdStrike. So I think we talked about this. He got the saga, right? The outage saga. And I think he got in CrowdStrike at a time where there were a few times where at a cost price of around 196, right? So there were many occasions where I don't know when he bought this, but if I could guess, he could probably bought this before 2023, right? So there were 3 occasions, 2021, 2022, and then 2023, it hit that price. And at the time, if you look at based on the valuation, CrowdStrike, he wasn't paying at a cheap price, right? And then but he managed to hold through, assuming that he bought before 2023 sell down. You can see that this CrowdStrike actually is very volatile, right? He at one time in 2023 it was down 50-60%, right? And he hold through until today, and now he's actually up this company, right? He's currently holding in a very good good gain right now, despite the outage, because he has recently rebounded. But this is one thing that I want to point out, that not only if let's say assuming that he bought before 2023, right? He actually hold through the down cycle. This is actually very important. A lot of people will panic, right? And clearly, the way I see his behavior, he knows what he's doing, right? This is a high risk, high growth stocks, right? And he bought it, and when the down cycle came, right, it was in 2023. He didn't panic. He hold through.
Okay.
Right, and I think it seems like quite a number of holdings that some of them he probably bought it before 2023. Right, even for NVIDIA, right, it wasn't cheap when he bought it. If he bought it during 2022, where there were a lot of hypes about working from home, the demand for digital economies stocks, right? So I think he knows what he's doing, right? So right now, obviously things are looking a lot more expensive. So he might want to be a little bit less aggressive on this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So I look at this Adobe in terms of the valuation. Based on that price point, I just roughly go and find where's the range and go and look back on the valuation at that point of time. I think he paid quite a good valuation for Adobe at the point of time. Right. I think nothing much about Adobe except for I think recently they just cancelled the acquisition of the Figma, is it?
Yeah, that was some time back.
Yeah.
So I think the main thing about Adobe now is that they're also into AI. So the Adobe Firefly thing, where you can also use prompts to generate images, and then use the ecosystem of Adobe Creative's cloud products to basically just do whatever you want in the images. So they're putting AI capabilities into the cloud itself, the suite of products that they have, and they have to do that because if not, they're going to lose out in the race. But the risk here is that will this reduce the number of seats when it comes to subscriptions for Creative Cloud? Because if people can just kind of like create images on the fly, you don't really do it yourself, would that reduce the number of subscriptions that you need? Okay, so this is the question. I think the last few quarters about Adobe I've been following is that some analysts are worried that this may not translate into revenue. So you want to observe this for the next few quarters and see whether actually maybe the integration of AI really doesn't affect the number of seats. In fact, it could increase it because people it's easier to lowers the barrier of entry. You can create images, and then you use the tools in Adobe's suite to kind of like just nail down the final image that you want. So it still lowers the barrier of entry. People come in, more seats will be sold. So that's for Adobe.
So I think most of his portfolio, nothing much to optimize, just giving some comments. Like for his Apple and Microsoft, I think he paid slightly above average.
Okay.
It's not very expensive, but also not too cheap also.
Yeah, but for quality companies, usually even if you pay a fair value, I think you still turn out well. In this case, I think he did pretty okay.
For his Amazon, I think he paid good valuation for his Amazon. And I think he bought Visa and Master together as a proxy, as a payment system. So both of them, I think I look back, if I'm not based on the price, it's a recent bought one in 2024. So I think these valuations are fair based on the price. Both of them he paid a fair value for this thing. Right? Just that I think Apple have to take note, because I think now the competition in China, right? Because China is also one of the contribution to their market, to their profits also.
Okay.
So now China for Apple, right? The competition is coming very strong in China also. I just feel, right? Yeah. Okay. And now they have this thing called I can't remember what's the term in Chinese, but then basically they are advising the citizen in China, right, to support the local brands.
Okay.
Right, instead of like.
I mean, they did that in the government, right? I think the Chinese government, certain departments, you couldn't use Windows, was it, or something like that?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the thing with Apple is always a supply chain issue because it's so linked to China, and if those tensions between the US and China actually really blow up, then the supply chain is going to be a big thing you need to worry about. Same thing for TSMC. And a lot of these like semiconductor things, there are a lot of bottlenecks in the whole supply chain. That you need to be aware of. Because any one thing goes off, the whole thing could just come crashing.
Correct.
Yeah. But these are great companies in their own way still.
And then
wait.
Yeah.
I'm going to the toilet.
Okay.
Move on. A few moments later.
So I just now stopped in time, right?
Yeah, we'll
find a way. Don't worry. If not, we just leave that in.
No, don't leave that, please.
So now, if you look at his holding in the ETF, right? He has this QQQ and this iShare Core S&P 500 ETF, right? And he had about close to 16%. So if you look at his holding in these two ETF, I don't know why he bought. He actually don't need it, right? Because you know what he's doing. Right? He could actually just handpick some of those companies. He could achieve alpha, right? Basically better returns compared to the market rate of return. But anyway, QQ and iShare Core S&P 500 ETF is also two decent ETF. It's just that if you look at their mix in terms of the companies that they own, like iShare Core S&P 500 own the largest 500 companies in the US, and the top 10 holding looks very similar holdings that he already owned in his portfolio: Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, and Amazon. See, there's a lot of duplicates, right?
Okay.
So that's why I think he may not really need this, because he knows what he is actually doing, right? So, but ETF is really suitable for those people who don't know what they're doing, and then you can just simply buy into it, right? And the same thing with QQQ. This one is actually more concentrated on like top 100 companies, non-financial holding. So you look at the technology exposure, it's actually a lot higher, 61% versus like 30% in the S&P 500 ETF, right? So the top 10 holdings, same thing, right? You have Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, Amazon, right? Very similar to what he already owned in his current portfolio, right? But he already owns it. I think he probably may have bought it maybe before he really get savvy into picking some of these individual stocks.
Okay.
Right, because he started in 2020, right? Maybe that could be some of the ETF that he bought at the time. I don't know when he bought it, but I think those are quite alright also to keep. I think nothing wrong with that.
But would you? I mean, if you go with QQQ, you probably don't want to go to S&P. You don't usually have one or the other in a sense, right? Would you do that?
I mean, he already owns it, so I think he just leave it there. But I would think that because he has, I think I went to count, he has like 70% exposure in tech. 80, that may be a bit too heavy. So S&P 500 will come in better because it's a lot more diversified. And in terms of sector, they have got like financial, healthcare, consumer, discretionary. So this would be a better fit for him as compared to QQQ, because his current holding got a lot of QQQ holdings. Right, you got like Apple, Adobe, Microsoft, right, Amazon.
So he is very I wouldn't say overexposed. This is based on what he's comfortable with, but he's very exposed to the tech sector in the US with his holdings plus the QQQ. I mean, like you said, maybe if you want some more defensive areas, you could have the S&P 500 as one of your main ETFs.
I mean,
ETFs.
so if back to 2022, his portfolio probably be down.
Will be down. Most of it will be down. Quite
if you have diversified
better.
properly, right? I mean, more into the S&P 500, but then he will act as a buffer for him.
Again, that fits his current risk profile. Right?
He said he's happy with long term and the risk,
and he seems comfortable with volatility. It's just that maybe as he age, I think he did mention that he will shift that percentage to higher income. I think he knows what he's doing. That's why this fits his current age, current risk appetite. It's just that there's over concentration of semicon that I think he can actually bring it down. Right, and then put it somewhere.
I think another thing I have to mention is because I think in one of the funds we asking him, right, he said he's currently very low in cash in his bank, about 5%, right? And he said he don't have any big purchase like BTO or down payment like all this, right? But he mentioned he's still working as a intern's allowance until end of the year. But if he need to travel, right, he will sell some of his portfolio for traveling. Actually, my take is actually don't do that.
Don't sell.
Go and save up your money. You should have some emergency money first, right? To set aside before, the thing about investing is you don't want to force sell your share.
Let's say he's over like Nvidia, you could sell some of that and go on holiday.
I mean, you should plow it back to your portfolio. That I think. I mean, those money that you put in the investing, right, is those money that you don't need it. Right, and you build it all the way until you decided to trim the portfolio for your retirement or so. Right, but you don't want to disrupt compounding. Right. So I think you also must set some emergency money inside. Now I look at him, he's very low in cash.
I think the fact he can do that is also because he's a student and doesn't have any liabilities. There's no commitment. I'm not sure whether he started to get all his basic stuff like insurance and all that stuff, right? But I assume that he would have.
When you're a student, your parents get for you the insurance, not you.
I assume they have got that. But even at a young age, usually you are more healthy in that sense.
I think you only get insurance when you start working full time.
I mean, you should start the habit of having emergency funds. Because you cannot.
I think he does save a lot. It's just that he's very aggressive in investing those savings.
Yes, correct.
Instead of having it in cash, so he's at 5% cash. But he's done a good job. Just investing it so far. He's done a great job. So, anything else about his portfolio? What about the crypto?
I think. And also the Bitcoin, Ethereum. Not much comment on that because I think we don't invest in crypto.
We're not so sure about this space.
Crypto. But as a young student, it's worth taking a try. Just that to make sure that his allocations always keep it low, below 10%. Right now, I think it's above 10%. I would just keep it lower than that, personally. But I think he probably read out a lot of Bitcoin, Ethereum. But it's something that you can't really evaluate, so I'm not sure how to really go about investing in this cryptocurrency.
Okay.
I think because he's young, some of the stocks maybe they are on the highs. The price are on the high, so that's why I can see he bought quite a few is fractional shares.
Yeah, so I mean that's the great thing about the US market. You get fractional shares as well. You can just allocate it according to your portfolio size and everything. But overall, pretty good portfolio.
I think pretty good because in terms of valuation, most of the company he paid are either average or just slightly below average, but just only some of them is just
some
above.
Of them are overvalued.
Just overvalued. It's just some only, right?
But
so
they're good companies.
Yeah, and
so
good companies. Okay. And he fits his objective.
Okay.
So I would think I'll give him an A.
So you rated it an A.
But definitely not an S yet lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I would also give him an A also. Partly also because he started this at like 18.
Yeah.
So I think that is something that is very impressive.
And he's very clear.
And not only he started at 18, but he started saving up along the way and to build this portfolio. I think it deserves an A.
It deserves an A.
And he's only 24. You see, this 62,000. Let's say you want 100,000 before 30. He's on track.
Correct.
Yeah, definitely.
He knows how to take care of the portfolio risk by diversifying into a few holdings. At that kind of age, usually people when they have money, they're like, oh, in this, oh, in that.
You're right.
Crypto.
The first thing I noticed is this thing. The portfolio allocation, well done. The first thing I noticed, very good allocation.
Yeah. So I think this is the first A on our rate. Portfolio so far, and I think this guy deserves it. Like you're right. A lot of some young investors could have 100,000 portfolio, but they got lucky. It was just one stock that managed to
yes.
They got it. Okay, fair play. But this guy wasn't like that. He really invested it consistently.
Yes, correct.
And all that
he
stuff.
has this big carry from Nvidia, but overall you look at all his hard holding is contributing to
but
the
he's
profit.
he didn't get lucky from Nvidia, right? Because Nvidia he allocate only 2,000 equally on the thing, right? If he really all in Nvidia and he built our wealth, then nothing to talk about. Right? That's more like speculation. You don't know, right?
Okay. So this guy gets an A. I mean, congratulations if you're watching this. I hope you really like our review. We think you're doing a fantastic job because how many people start investing at 18? And do it so well all the way till over the next 6 years.
So far we only know one person, but he started at 14.
He started at 14. So one of our interns started at 14. He's one of the best. One of the best we've met so far. It's really good.
In terms of investing knowledge, one of the best.
Really because at that kind of age, usually it's like for
I was playing video games all the time.
You just want to have fun, man. School is giving you so much stress, and free time you just want to chill. And then this guy, I think free time he's like doing his investing.
Yeah, it's good. And I think it's a lot easier for young people nowadays because then a lot of this information is online. I don't remember any of this unless you went to buy a book about it, which is an extra step. Right now you can just watch YouTube like this. And say, oh, maybe I didn't know about this, but now, oh wow, this guy started at 18, he's now 24. And it's an inspiration for those who are still, in school and you want to start now.
You should get him to the show.
We can ask him if he wants to.
But he said he learns a lot from our channel and Adam's School's channel.
Adam Cool as well.
So two must watch channel.
All right. So I won't say your name, but good job. You're doing a fantastic job. Please carry on for the next 40 years of your life. And you will definitely hit your targets and your financial goals. Hopefully you do extremely well. And we just want to say well done. Good job. Done. All right. So is there anything else?
Send this video to your teacher.
So
they can include in your GPA.
All right. Start studying finance.
Maybe you can intern with us. We have a really good few interns along the way as well. If you want to drop us an email, we'll see how that goes. But he's graduating soon, I think, so maybe he's going full time into the workforce. But I don't know whether we have space for that too. Anyway, I think he did a great job. Well done. And
good job.
You deserve the A. All right. Is there anything else you want to share about this?
Nothing else.
All right. So that's it. I think we wanted to just share a good example of someone who has a really good portfolio. Solid. And the story behind it. He's very young. and anyone can do it. All right, you don't need a big amount of money like $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 to actually be good at this. This guy started with $30,000. Now it's going to $60,000, and it's going to go somewhere. All right. So with that, I think that's pretty much it. My name is Adam, Rusmin, Victor.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching us. Any questions about this, feel free to ask. And of course, hit the like button if you like this roundtable, and subscribe when any more roundtables come out. And we'll see you again.